IELTS Speaking Part 2. Describe a person who taught you something important. You should say who the person is, what he or she is like, what he or she taught you, and how you felt about him or her. Model answer. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most important and most influential person in my life is Mr. TRAN, my current boss. I'm now working for a medium-sized manufacturing company in Vietnam. And Mr. TRAN, the CEO, has taught me quite a number of tricks of the trade, which have transformed my whole world view. Few subjects attract more voodoo analysis than management. Even so, studies suggest that the quality of a firm's leadership explains about 15% of the variance in profitability, and our enterprise is no exception. My boss has built his brainchild using empathetic leadership, instilling trust, determination, and appreciation into us. Our company's growth rests on 4 pillars: people, process, purpose, and profit. Start with people. My boss nurtures talent by encouraging employees to take risks and speak their minds. He often lavishes praise when managers excel and never upbraid them publicly if they do not. He also promotes a meritocracy. And to tame the bloated bureaucracy within the company, he's introduced the policy of rank and yank, sacking the bottom 10% of managers, measured by financial and other metrics each year. As Vietnam's economy has become more sclerotic, he has also preached autonomy. This means staff are at times able to decide their expenses and do with little formal performance reviews, an idea that at other firms would otherwise cause chaos. Mr. TRAN is also obsessed with processes, which have become commonplace. He champions Six Sigma, a series of techniques that aim to keep manufacturing defects at below 3.4 per million parts. Our company's purpose also changed on his watch after he extended it to financial services. Everything always in the service of profits. My boss has certainly revved up our company's propellers. Under Mr. TRAN, revenues quintupled from $2 billion in 2018 to $10 billion in 2019. Mr. TRAN has admirers outside business circles too. Mrs. Lê Nhung, a former vice chairwoman, recalls attending overflowing shareholder meetings with him where young ladies were shaking like they were meeting a rock star. Having said that, Mr. TRAN is a family man. He often tries his best to spend quality time with his family, and he is a time management expert, often rising at 6 a.m. and hardly ever slouching in bed until 7 a.m., despite running 2 companies at the same time. An early start is always followed by a furious exercise, sometimes on his exercise bike, shortly after getting up, and other times in the gym. It seems he's becoming a devotee of extreme sports too, by taking part in mountaineering, skydiving, bungee jumping, and car racing. He's even participating in a 90-day leadership and energy for performance program for high flyers. It's even stranger to me that even though he works around the clock, he never has to dabble in mind-boosting drugs or any brain boosters. He's just suffering from hair loss. So if asked who is the ideal corporate leader to my mind, I'd say Mr. TRAN. He's capable of mastering the tricky, creative, and more collaborative game of allocating intangible capital. And he's not crusty or myopic either, which is shown in how he's actively engaged in corporate social responsibility. So there is no denying that Mr. TRAN is a towering figure who has helped jolt our company out of the complacent. At times he may have shaken hard, but it is undeniable that he has changed the business landscape in Vietnam as we know it for the better. And that is the end of my monologue.